couldn't get enough subsidies to make money. So finally they got us to buy them out. And we bought all their equipment and their contracts, and that's how we got the Port Authority.
Then I'm going to throw you a curveball, so be ready for it.
Okay.
Okay. So if the answer is not to get rid of Port Authority and have private companies,
Right.
what is the answer? Because did you not have to go 6 blocks or more to get to this station today?
I sure did.
In the cold and snow.
I sure did.
So elaborate and start talking to the audience.
I got off the 500 bus at North and Brighton and had a chair down to Western and then about 6 blocks on Western. And it was cold. And nobody shovels that. Most people don't shovel or salt their sidewalks,
Okay.
but that's another matter.
But my point is that there
is-
used to be a bus that came right to the station, and they cut it. So tell us, John, what is the answer?
A major problem with most of the buses that were cut. There were
about 10
people
minutes.
riding the buses who really needed them, but there were only 6 or 8 or 10 people riding that bus. And when people complain about their bus being cut, I ask them, the last time you rode that bus, how many people on it? Well, there were only 3 of us, but we already don't have anything else, any other way to get where we're going. Yeah, that's true enough. But you're not going to be able to function economically as a bus company.
What is the answer then?
The answer is, well, adequate funding for public transit would be a source, and the realization that transportation like health care and food, clothing, and shelter is a right. And every transit system in the country is subsidized. Port Authority is subsidized, but the legislature had this, you're not going to be able to function economically as a bus company.
What is the answer then?
The answer is, well, adequate funding for public transit would be a source, and the realization that transportation like health care and food, clothing, and shelter is a right. And every transit system in the country is subsidized. Port Authority is subsidized, but the legislature had this great plan to fund the Port Authority and all the transportation, roads and bridges too, by putting a toll on Interstate 80. And then the Fed said, no, 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 you can't do that. Read the regs. And the legislature was back to square one. But they didn't do anything. They had months and months, and they didn't do anything.
So, John, not to cut you off, but we have probably about 7 minutes. So we have to go to a little bit something else. So please tell me the updates about, did they get the money, where they stand, what is the situation with the cuts that were effective March 2011 or 2011. Give us that in about a 3-minute.
The Port Authority had gone into its budget year with a deficit, which they're really not supposed to do because they didn't want to do a major cut.
Okay.
And now they were faced with having to cut by the end of this fiscal year, which is this coming June 30th, a 35% cut in service, which would have been on thousands of people would have lost their jobs.
Okay.
Parking and traffic to downtown in Oakland would have been worse than it ever is. The whole 60 communities wouldn't have had any transit service. Then Ed Rendell, on his way out the door, gave us $45 million and transferred for unused
what will that do,
development.
what will it not do?
That was supposed to take care of the PAT budget and prevent us having to have these cuts until the end of the year.
But
SPC, Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission, which represents all the counties in the area, reluctantly, with a lot of bitterness, approved it. But they said, why don't you stretch out that money until June of 12? And Steve Bland, the executive director, did say to them what I might have, or what you might have, but he said, I'll try. And he's trying to do that, but that's going to mean
but what I
serious
need
cuts.
to know is where, right now, Are there going to be cuts in March? And if so, how bad, percentage-wise?
We don't know. There won't be the 35% cut.
There will not be the
That's definite.
35%
It
cuts.
might be, Steve's people are checking the numbers. It might be 10 or 15%.
Okay.
I hope, and I'm going to ask that ACTC ask. I'm president of the Allegheny County Transit Council, the legislative, the advisory body
Right.
for the poor.
My sister
We're
Rose
gonna-
Schilling's on there with you.
Right. Yes, she is.
And I
Bless
believe
her
my
heart.
sister
And
Diane's
Diane
there,
is.
too.
You bet she is.
Okay, well, let's wrap it up real quick because we're
And
running out of time.
I'm going to recommend that they look for other locations of the money. They try to get the legislator to do something intelligent in the next 6 months.
Okay.
If they don't do something in 6 months, they probably won't do it in 18 months either.
Right.
So we better get on the case. There is going to be a rally in support of public transportation.
Give us the date and time, please. 'Cause
This
we only have a minute left.
Thursday. This Thursday.
What is the date? We need
The
to know the date.
16th.
Okay, so
Thursday,
December
the
16th.
16th. We're going to have a rolling rally starting with a procession of cars led by a PAT bus.
Okay.
We're going to have 50 cars representing all the cars that a bus replaces on the road.
Okay.
And that's going to organize at 10 o'clock, between 10 and 10:30 at Road of Sholem parking lot
In Oakland.
in Oakland on 5th and Morwood.
Okay.
Road of Sholem has let us use their parking lot.
Okay.
And we're going to go downtown. And there's going to be a press conference led by Representative Dan Frankel, who's a strong supporter.
Okay.
At 11:30 at Mellon Square. So you can join us.
Okay.
At 11:30 at Mellon Square, or even come to Rodef and
Okay, well, I'll tell you what.
drive in our
The audience now knows that, but we're going to have to move forward because we have about 3 minutes. I got to quickly say some stuff. I thank you for that. And also, John, we may be able to get you on a different show, which I'll tell you off camera about, a podcast that I do.
Okay.
Real quickly. You know, I forgot one important thing. I talked about the $1 trillion that we are in debt to China. What I missed, and I do not have time to elaborate, but what I have missed is the fact that that puts our national security at risk. Many of you out there probably are wondering why. Well, if they were to pull all the loans, we'd be in big trouble. We wouldn't have money possibly to run the government or governments, local and stuff. But just in general, we need to remember that I have nothing against any country, but let us remember that China is considered a communist country, which back in the 50s we were all against, but now we're taking trillions of dollars from. No matter how you slice everything that we talked about today, no matter how you slice it, John can't give you the answers, Annette can't give you the answers, Kathy can't give you the answers. But collectively, as 300 million, Republican, Democrat, I don't care what your ideology or religion is, you can make the changes. We can get that money for the buses and keep it. We can get the United States government to help people and have enough for everybody. And no, that's not communism, by the way. That's called taking care of people and letting them live. But at any rate, we can do all that, but we need to call 1-202-224-3121.
1-202-225-3121.
And if we don't do that, America, guess what? You're not going to have a happy Hanukkah. You're not going to have a wonderful Ramadan. You're not going to have a Merry Christmas. And you're not going to have a nice Kwanzaa. You know why? Because your child's going to go without. You're going to go without. And you know what? I'm not willing, as a Pittsburgh resident who has suffered many times having my utilities shut off and whatever else, I'm not willing to live in poverty. I'm not willing to let my American people live in poverty. You got to stop. You got to stop them in their tracks. Call Congress now. And remember, by the way, that you and humanity really does matter.
Yes.
We reached the finish line, but Rome wasn't built in a day. It went up a brick at a time, day by day, step by step. If we help out where we can, we might just be overachievers by the time we reach the end. No, don't do nothing just 'cause you can't do everything. Sometimes a tiny spark can ignite the brightest flame. Try and do something to ease the hunger and the pain. No, don't do nothing just 'cause you can't do everything. Yeah, if we help out just a few folks, and they help out a few folks too, before you know it, there really might not be all that much helping out left to do. Yeah, don't do nothing just 'cause you can't do everything. We gotta try to know the feeling inside making a difference brings. And when we help the least among